Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. It's Gita here. Thank you for joining me again. It's lovely to see you all. Um, Today, I am going to do a video response to Lady Knight of Avalon, Maria. Um, and she put out a video a few months ago. I can't remember exactly when it was, but it's called How Do You Tarot? Really great prompts that I just think are interesting to know about a tarotist to get a better understanding of their reading style and their philosophy around tarot and their preferences, etc., etc. So I'm going to attempt to do a VR today that's hopefully not too rambly. Happy spring equinox to everybody. I hope you guys are have some great plans and are feeling optimistic about the new season. I know I am.
Stay with me if you want to. You can stay.
What I what I like about tarot, I would say the most is that it inspires me. It inspires my mind's eye, and I love art. I really love art. I have a lot of placements in my astrology that would significate that I am artistically inclined, right? Um, and I have always been more gifted, I think, with music and performing arts, but visual arts, that gift of being able to create visual art, paintings, drawings, and stuff. It's something I always was really envious of, actually, and I always was amazed by people who have that talent, and I always was enchanted by visual art. I struggle personally um, visualizing, with visualizing things in detail. When I do visualize things and when I create art, visual art, it tends to be more abstract because I do. I don't know. It's something with my mind's eye. I feel like I came to tarot because um, I wanted to train my mind's eye differently, and and that's how I got into it. And what I love about it is through finding all the different tarot designs and different tarot decks out there where there's different artistic interpretations of same concepts. It's just been mind blowing for me and just really helped me to evolve, I feel like, as a creative individual, um, and in how I sort of understand and not understand, but perceive and engage with art, And that is what I love so much about tarot. Like, I just feel like it's made, since I got into tarot, I feel like I'm so much of a so much more cultured of a individual. And, and I love how it's helped me to evolve in that aspect of my personality. But the other things I love about tarot is that, yeah, it's this visual language. So just like music, where you don't have to speak, you don't have to speak that language. You don't have to speak the language that the song is sung in order to um, understand what the song is saying through all the other things, the energy, the music, the sound, the rhythm, the vibration, And art is the same way, You don't have to. That's what I love about tarot, because it communicates through image. And therefore, I have found that it always works because um, because everybody will everybody responds to the imagery, So you may suck as a tarot reader, you may suck at translating that image to your querent, but either way, the tarot readings still can be effective for the querent, because they are also, if they are also able to see that imagery in response to their question, right? So that's what I think is just so powerful about tarot, is just that power of communication through imagery, and it's just really inspiring. And I love languages. I did a bit of French in high school and in university. I did German um, in life. You know, I'm half Austrian, so I had to learn and speak German as a second language because it was never my mother tongue. Um, and and also I've always been around a lot of people from different that speak different languages, you know, and I just find that it's so interesting finding ways to communicate with people when perhaps you don't have the same language, you know. And there's other language, and what it's I always found it interesting what sort of things we're able to communicate. Yeah, just I just always found different methods of communication really interesting. And that's what tarot is. It's a different mode of communication, it is a language, and it's fascinating. I also love all the esoteric symbolism. I love the history behind the tarot. Um, yeah, like I said, I feel like more of a cultured, more of an educated, intelligent person um, through my study of tarot over the last 10 years. Or more ordinary individuals, I suppose, think I'm crazy um, to put so much um, put so much weight on and significance on the ability of the powers of a pack of cards. But that's what's so amazing about tarot because you don't know until you know, and when you're in the know, it is it's so cool. So that's what I love about tarot. It feels like I'm also part of like a little bit of a secret society, but I speak the language. I speak the language of tarot. So that's once you start to speak the language, then you doors open up differently for you. You see the world. You see the world differently. Okay, that was an unnecessarily long ramble. I use tarot for divination, for uh, predicting events. Definitely, I ask questions in relation to get advice or insight on what's going to happen in the future. Um, Not for fortune telling per se, but yeah, for insights into the future. Yes, um, I use tarot for. I've used tarot in the past to communicate with other spirits, if you will, deities. I've never used tarot in the sense of like communicating with the dead directly, but I have asked like what I have asked questions to get clarity around questions I had about people who had passed on. And I use tarot, yeah, to read for others, to read for myself, to study, and also for magic. It's really helpful for that because has to do a lot with visualization. And for me to create an effective spell, I need to be able to really visualize and magic. And tarot helps me to do that. Really, it helps me a lot with spells. So that and then also for collecting I collect tarot. I've started to admit to myself that I'm a tarot collector, and the importance, the significance for me living on a small island, really relatively small island. I live in Bermuda. It's a little island, like 70,000 people in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Things are limited here in terms of access to things. I can't just walk into a Barnes and Noble, you know what I mean, and pick up a copy of the latest tarot deck that's come out. So I do feel that I want to curate. It's not you. Yes, you can get tarot decks here, but um, not not a lot of the ones that I'm interested in, it's a limited selection. And for me, collecting tarot helps me I feel like I'm curating a collection for future generations. I do feel like that's something I want to do. Um, and by future generations, I mean my kids and stuff, and whoever else in Bermuda may come across my possessions when I pass on. Oh, what is your go-to workhorse deck? The one you can read with no matter what. Basically, any um, Rider Waite Smith uh, system deck or Rider Waite Smith clone. I really love a good clone, and my go-to deck is this Carol Hartzer Illuminated Tarot. This is probably the closest thing I have to a soul deck, because when I first started looking for my ideal deck, this was like the one that spoke loudest to me out of all the out of everything I could find in a Google search and through Amazon recommendations. The colors. I purchased this for my birthday. I got this for my birthday a couple years ago, and since I have it, I just haven't been able to put it down. The colors are just so perfect. It's resilient because it's got this laminated plastic coating. I love that it doesn't have key. Love that it's borderless and titleless. So it makes me feel really, actually, I love reading for others with this, because people, as I said, this visual language, people really zoom in on the imagery, and they need me to translate to them and tell them what the cards are and what they mean. And people love this deck too. And I have a lot of decks. I have a lot of diverse decks, multicultural, modern decks, and stuff like that. And that I would normally think that other people would like more. Um, but when I read, most people respond best to this deck, and it's just a basic Rider Waite Smith clone, but the coloring is so beautiful. Carol Hertzer, she's amazing, legendary, OG. Um, and this is absolutely my workhorse deck. If I don't know what deck to take with me, I grab this one. If I don't know what deck to read with, it reads for anybody, anywhere, male, female, young, old, black, white. It does not discriminate. This deck just lands with everybody. And yeah, I can't go wrong. It's a Rider Waite Smith. My daughter also chewed one of the cards, and when yeah, like a year ago or something like that. So it's got that well loved, worn in feel to it. It's a great deck. My fave. So immediately what came to mind is this Orphic Tarot, which I did talk about in my recent video, Pop Tarot Alternatives. And why it's so difficult to read with is because there's like a bunch of extra cards. There's like probably like 10 extra cards, which I just shuffled in there. So I don't even know which ones are the extra cards and which ones are the tarot cards. And which ones are the oracle. Some of them are like alternative tarot cards. I've just got like everything in here, and then on top of that, the titles and stuff are in Greek. Everything is in Greek, and I don't speak Greek. Like, I don't even know how to type in Greek. I don't even have Greek letters on my keyboard to like look this stuff up in Google. And then, it's all this sort of like really heavy line work and very similar color palette throughout. So, yeah, it's a struggle to identify mostly the court cards. But when I do take time, it's a deck that makes me slow down, because when I do take time and really look at the images, I can usually find out what they are, which is the beauty of this deck, because it makes me slow down and it makes me read by the imagery as opposed to by the titles. But it's definitely difficult to read with. And any deck like this that veers from the Rider Waite Smith symbolism, there's actually quite a bit of Rider Waite Smith symbolism in here, but any deck that veers a lot from the Rider Waite Smith symbolism will be difficult for me to read, because any deck that requires me to read with my guidebook, to reference the guidebook, is just a difficult deck to read. And that's just it. Like, I'm a Rider Waite Smith girl. I'm a traditionalist, in that sense. And I like other books. I like other decks. I don't mind a deck where I have to read from the guidebook. It just makes it more difficult to read because it's a lengthier process to get the message. Uh, I really wanna I really wanna study this one in depth. I've heard amazing things about the guidebook. The passages that I have read in the guidebook have been absolutely fantastic. I got this, I don't know, a year ago or something like that. And you know, maybe I am a little bit in my goth phase. I feel like I'm just, as of late, I've been embracing my Scorpio polarity because I'm a Taurus sun. Scorpio's on the other end. So I have amassed a mini collection of darker decks, and this is one of them. And I do think the artwork is beautiful. Out of all the vampire decks on the market, I think this is definitely one of the more beautiful ones. Um, there's definitely a lot of emotion in the imagery and in the people in these cards, but this is one of those decks that really requires that you work with the guidebook um, until you get comfortable with understanding the meanings. And I really want to spend more time. Also, this guidebook is really good for exploring the astrological associations with the cards, which is something I'm also keenly interested in. So, Tarot Vampires is a deck that I would like to study, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. I would say my preferred art style is definitely, I talk about this in my Deck Delights musical VR. It's definitely hand drawn, painted, that handmade feel. I like things that look I like art that looks like it was created by somebody's physical hands. I really like illustrations. And I like paintings as well, but I think I prefer illustrations for tarot. And I do like decks that have a comic look. I know Maria said this in her video as well. Yeah, I enjoy artwork that really has that is easy to tell a story from. So that has that storybook illustration style, whether it's a comic book or a children's book. I think I do prefer more of the whimsical children's book illustration type of um, illustration style. But I like comic as well. I just don't like cartoon. I just don't like too much cartoony. But I've got some decks kind of like that. Okay, sorry for the awkward cut, but I realized I never answered the second part of that question, and that was how has my um, tarot art taste changed over the years? Well, yeah, when I first started collecting decks and getting into tarot, I was gravitating towards all the collage decks. I love collage decks, and I still love collage decks, but I don't find them as they can be kind of distracting to read with sometimes. And I find I like to read with them in together with a more traditional deck. Like I'll use a traditional deck, like a traditional Rider-Waite-Smith clone to clarify, and maybe a collage deck as like the base for the reading. Um, but I don't enjoy reading with them. I don't gravitate towards them as much as I used to because I think like I just feel like you only need so many sort of thing, and they can get kind of like I just feel like they're a little bit overrated. The whole collage. They yeah. I feel like I'm just over it a little bit, and um, I am gravitating more towards a coherent story rather than like this like what is it? It's like collages is like a dismembered story. Like the story's in the cards, but it's all fucking cut up and chopped and screwed, and then you have to put it back together, which can be fun sometimes. But I I don't know. I'm just my reading style is changing now, where I just want like more quick, intuitive narrative. I want the narrative to come through more clearly, and I think a different art style works better for that. That makes sense. Yeah. What would I never ask the tarot? Oh gosh. Um, should I kill myself? I don't know. I feel like I would ask the tarot anything. I don't feel like there's anything I wouldn't ask the tarot. I mean, I wouldn't really ask about health related stuff because I just don't know that I would be able to interpret it in any helpful way to myself or to anybody else. So I guess I would just say that. Yeah, I wouldn't ask the tarot health questions. So when I read tarot for myself, I honestly I feel like I'm becoming really jaded with reading tarot for myself. Because it's just really repetitive right now. I usually just pull like three cards, or I'll see if a card falls out. So much of the time, it's just confirming my own bias, and so I think it's better to read with spreads to maintain some level of objectivity. Um, a lot of the times when I'm reading tarot for myself, it's actually even just kind of testing my cards to see like if they are working. Um, so a lot of times I don't have a question. If I don't have a question, then my cards will like respond to me with something that's going on around me. Like maybe I'll be watching a show about cooking, and I don't know, and then I'll pull um, Eight of Pentacles or something like that, or a Temperance card or something. You know what I mean? Or Ten of Cups. So I look so little things like that happen to me when I pull cards if I don't have a question, but I tend to ask like what do I need to know right now? What do I need to focus on right now? Or if I have something specific, like a specific dilemma, I'll ask the cards that. But I usually, if I'm really trying to get like clarity around like a specific situation or event or question, then I'll probably go to somebody else to get a reading just so I can get that objective input. Um, because sometimes I'm just too close to it to answer for myself. What I've always been interested in are the biblical and sort of Christian metaphors, implications, and all that references within the tarot. That has been something that has interested me. As a former Catholic, I don't really consider myself um, Catholic anymore. I'm on a different path now, but coming from Christianity and stuff, that's always interested me, and I still want to learn those. I still want to learn those correspondences. I'm want to study more about Thoth, and understand the differences between the Thoth um, astrological correspondences and the Rider-Waite-Smith astrological correspondences. I don't really want to study Thoth to learn Thoth. I just want to understand better the differences between Thoth and Rider-Waite-Smith. And yeah, I would say those are the main things. That's about it. I don't know anything about Kabbalah either. So one of these days I would be open to learning about Kabbalah, but up until now I just really haven't been that interested. What advice would you give someone who's just starting to learn tarot? I would tell them to go at their own pace, but don't overthink it, and that the best way to learn is by reading for yourself, reading for others. That the best way to learn tarot is, yeah, just by putting it in practice. And I would tell them that it's not a race, and that it takes time. It really takes time to get an understanding of what tarot is and how it can work for you and for others in an effective and a healthy way. And that I would probably tell them that it's not what they think it is. If they're just approaching tarot and getting into tarot, I think but we have, I think anybody newbie to tarot comes with a lot of expectations and a lot of preconceptions about what tarot is and how it works. And I would let them know that get ready to let go of all that and learn through experience. And I would tell them also that it's not sacred unless you make it, because as I said, I think there's a lot of superstition around tarot that is unnecessary. Yes, it can be this divine, mystical, spiritual, empowering tool, but it can also just be a deck of cards. It really can just be playing cards that can be used for so many things that have absolutely nothing to do with spirituality or self-development either. So, yeah, that's that. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Comment down below. Let me know what you think. And we shall meet again. Bye.
You can stay.